Good afternoon, everyone. Today I'm going to be reading you a short children's literature book about environmentalism, which specifically focuses on an issue with an oil spill in Santa Barbara. The book is called Black Beach. It is by Shauna and John Stitch. I hope you guys can get a message from this book. Black Beach, a community, an oil spill, and the origin of Earth Day. Sam was drawing in her favorite class, drawing a picture of her favorite place, when the principal came in and whispered in her teacher's ear. Sam's teacher frowned as she walked over to the window and stared at the sea. What did the principal say? What was her teacher looking for? Back home, Sam's parents told her something terrible had happened. Union Oil had caused an oil spill when they were removing a drill from the ocean floor. Oil was now gushing up into the Santa Barbara Channel. Her mother had called it a blowout, like a cap had popped off a shaken up bottle of soda and couldn't be put back on. Three days later, the thick, dark oil started washing the shore. What would her favorite place look like now? When Sam went down to see, she was anxious. With each step, she could feel the weight of her worry. It was even worse than she had feared. The beach was black. The ocean was black. The sparkling waves that used to crash down, whoosh up, and tickle Sam's toes were silent. All she could hear was slop, slop, slop. The whole town looked for ways to help, but no one really knew how. Even though offshore drilling was extremely risky, Union Oil hadn't prepared for a disaster like this. So the people of Santa Barbara did what they could to make things better. Sam's father joined a group of fishermen throwing straw into the oil to sop it up. Sam's mother and other volunteers used beach towels to pick up seabirds stranded on the beach. Their feathers were coated in oil and they weren't able to fly. Sam felt helpless. All she could do was sit back and watch. At night, the news broadcast scenes from Santa Barbara. Millions of people across the country tuned in. No one had ever seen anything like this before. Oil continued to seep into the ocean. Whenever Sam thought about it, she got sad. But then her sadness turned into anger. What had happened to her favorite place? To the birds and the beach and the blue sea? It wasn't right. Sam was done sitting back and watching. It was time to stand up. She and her friends filled bottles with oil from the beach and mailed them to politicians. If the people in power saw what had happened, then maybe they would work to prevent it from ever happening again. News of the spill continued to grow, and more people started paying attention. Even President Nixon came on a helicopter to see. 7 months later, after the oil burst from the ocean floor, a U.S. Senator named Gaylord Nelson visited Santa Barbara. He had been an environmental activist for years, but had often struggled to convince other politicians that the planet needed to be protected. When he saw oil was still floating to the surface of the sea, he knew he had to try to help. Back in Washington, D.C., Senator Nelson hired an eager young team to begin organizing a National Day of Environmental Celebration and Protest. It would be called Earth Day. Their goal was to create a grassroots movement and have local communities share the environmental issues that mattered most to them. If enough people participated, politicians would have to start paying attention to the needs of the planet. Soon, news of the event reached school children and teachers, and they began to prepare their own activities for Beach Day. When April 22nd, 1970 finally arrived, Sam's school put on a giant Earth Day assembly. Everyone brought a can to recycle and gathered outside to learn about the benefits of beekeeping and the environmental harm caused by the insect-killing chemical DDT. At thousands of schools across the country, children spent the day learning about environmental problems and what could be done to make them better. The more Sam learned, the more powerful she felt. There were so many ways to help. On that first Earth Day, 20 million people took a stand. Some people came out to celebrate the movement, while others protested and demanded change. A movement was born. The end.